Everyone, I just wanted to say a few words about the last of the Wollstonecraft readings. Again, just some thoughts on the beginning. What is really striking to me is how radical she is. I mean, in terms of her attitudes about the place of women, she is a radical. I mean, she's not totally. I have to tell you that this book was very well reviewed, as far as I know. This is a serious. This was taken seriously by men and women who read it in the 1790s. It's not as if the notion of a woman writing a book is somehow a huge novelty. There have always been women writers. It's not was not out of the ordinary for women to weigh in on serious subjects, and it was not even completely novel for women to complain about the place of women in their society. But it was not the usual thing, and I would suppose that the kind of thing that she's saying about the equality between the sexes was radical for the time. But it wasn't as if she was the first woman ever to speak up in Western history. It's simply not true. But her voice was radical. I mean, the kind of changes that she thought needed to take place in the relationship between men and women were truly revolutionary. So she was a radical. But if you look at the beginning of this chapter, chapter 9, I mean, the first thing she does is attack property. I mean, she's not attacking directly here, at least, the oppression of women. She's attacking the rich, and she's attacking inequality, economic inequality. There's a really, when she says one class presses on another, she means social class. She means economic class. And she's recognizing that the oppression of women is not the only problem in her society. I mean, she is not a one-issue writer. She, I think, is suggesting that there are deep, fundamental problems in 18th century society, and they're not just the problems of gender, they're the problems of property, and they're problems not just of gender inequality, but economic inequality. She has one line here which I think is really, really great. This is a couple paragraphs in. She says, it's right here. After attacking property in the way that property relations completely skew the true relations between human beings, which in very Wollstonecraft fashion, she says should be established by virtue, not by wealth. That your prominence in society should not be determined by how much money you have. It should be determined by how good a person you are. So she says there must be more equality established in society, or morality will never gain ground. And this virtuous equality will not rest firmly, even when founded on a rock, if one half of mankind are chained to its bottom by fate. And she means women. I mean, yeah, she means women. It really is, I think, such a clear and strident and eloquent articulation of the futility of trying to establish a just society, a good society, if half the people in it are second-class citizens, right? Which is what it meant to be a woman in 1790 in most places in the world, certainly in England and in France, where she is writing this, although things are changing there, right? But are they changing for women? I don't know. But it's ridiculous to think that we can really form a good society if half the people in it are consigned from birth to be second-class citizens. There must be more equality established in society, or morality will never gain ground. I mean, we'll never really have a just and good society if we have rich and poor. And we'll never have a just and good society if women aren't granted full equality with men. I mean, it's not going to happen if people are fated by their gender or their social class. And we can see this going into the future. If people are fated by their ethnicity, by their race, by their ethnic background, by their religion, by their sexuality. If they're fated to be second-class citizens, to not enjoy the full rights of human beings, the universal rights of mankind, right? Because of some distinction like their gender or the amount of money they have or their ethnicity or their religion, then forget about it. You'll never have a moral society. You'll have an unjust society. You'll have a bad society. I think that this, what she's saying here about women could just as well be said about people who fall into other categories that are discriminated against. It really is. I mean, it's such a clear, articulate, and admirable statement about what enlightenment means. What a great book.